So pretty much I started doing the Andrew Huberman like I guess routine for a while now. Um I've been listening to Andrew Huberman for about like 6 months, and I feel like my life has like completely changed for like so many different reasons. Mainly like for my stress and my anxiety has like completely gone down by like half, or I'd say even more, honestly. What I did was I started doing cold therapy. And I used to do it like here and there just for like, just because I thought like it was like good for me, whatever. But after a little bit, after watching almost all of Huberman's podcasts, I was like, first of all, convinced because he backed it with so much science. So I was like so convinced that it would actually work. And pretty much after like a little bit, what I started doing was I began taking, like when I would take hot showers, and I would end off super cold for like a minute. But not only that, what I started doing, since I don't have like an ice barrel, I started dunking my whole entire face in a bowl of ice, and basically that's like my ice therapy. And then I also would do it for my hands and sometimes my feet too. So it was like a bowl of ice and I put it in, and I've been doing it every day probably for like 6 months now. My anxiety is like completely down. Plus, like, I pretend that I'm surfing when I do it. Like, I'm training for surfing because I love surfing and it's super cold water in California. So pretty much I pretend that I'm surfing and I just like do cold therapy. And oftentimes, even when I'm dunking my face in a bowl of ice, I start like crying because it's like trauma releasing a lot. So like that was incredible, honestly, to like let out emotions that like a lot of mornings I'll wake up and I'll just be everywhere and I don't know what's going on with me. And sometimes I'm like, I'll try to pretend to be happy, and it's not like you can pretend to be happy. Like I try, but like there's something in me that's like pent up, like aggression or anger towards different things in my life of my past. And what cold therapy did for me is it literally changed the way I'm able to move and live my life. Like, the amount of anxiety that I used to have was unbearable, and now it's down. It feels like every day I take like a melatonin or like some sort of like, but here's the thing though. When I used to take this medicine like Calm or like these medicines, I started feeling like I would always have side effects, and then it would make me too calm, and then I would kind of get depressed from it. So it wasn't really working for me. And so one day I was like, I felt so bad from taking all these like medicines that are bringing me to a calm state, because it was making me feel off balance, because it wasn't my natural like calm state. It was like I had pent up energy and then I was trying to be calm. So what I did was I started just like, I went off of it completely, and then I had a lot of anxiety for a while. But then I started realizing like I gotta take matters into my own hands and try to control how I feel. Like, I've been feeling so bad, so I gotta like make myself feel better naturally, because personally I'm not the type of person that likes to just take medicine and numb my pain. It's not like what I like to do at all. So after a little bit, what I did was I started doing cold therapy, and yeah, that completely healed so many parts of me. And the coolest part about it is what I've learned in watching so many of Huberman's podcasts is that cold therapy, first of all, he like swears by it. Like, he'll talk about it in like every episode, no matter what he's talking about. Cold therapy somehow ties in. Like, he'll always be talking about it. So it's just like, I know there's a lot of goodness in it. So when I started, like, I was like super like, a lot of times I would cry. Recently I don't cry as much, but it just depends on like the time of the month for me, or like when I'm about to get my period or whatever. But sometimes like I would get a lot of depression. Like today, even for example, I started feeling really bad, and I was like, all right, I gotta do a little bit of yoga. I gotta just wake myself up. I did a little cold therapy. I felt incredible. Like, it was like a new day. Like, I suddenly saw the sun came out. I was like, this is so freaking good. But yeah, so it's really cool to like get in touch with all these things and be able to learn and like about yourself with yourself. And then, where I was getting, I remembered the coolest thing that I learned. I was trying to say this before and then I went off tangent on something else. But basically, that cold therapy like increases your dopamine level by like 3 to 4 hours after without any crash or dip in your mood. So it was incredible, and it is incredible. You feel this like even keel like calmness within your body, and you're like it's like this homeostasis. It's so nice. And yeah, truly incredible. Like so calm, and I don't like crash. For example, if I'm getting dopamine through a different way, like if I'm trying to distract myself, or let's say if I'm like on my phone for too long just watching videos and TikTok, like all those type of dopamine, like there's a crash, and it's not only a crash, it's gonna last a long time, because first of all, from the blue light, and it's gonna affect my sleep and all that. So it's pretty incredible to like learn about cold therapy and how much healing it does. And also, I've learned through Huberman's podcasts is that like there's really no other form of that type of like fast deliberate the fastness of how well you can feel better from deliberate cold exposure is like incredible. And what I've learned from him is that you really can't get it from anywhere other source, and it's like so fast, and because there's no dip in your dopamine level after. So yeah, it's pretty incredible. Highly recommend it. That's like the first thing that's incredible. And also another thing that I've learned that completely changed my like face structure and like everything in my face too, in my jaw, is really stopping the mouth breathing and completely going nasal breathing. I've been doing it for a while now. Also, it really calms me down and doesn't like my thoughts aren't racing as much when my mouth is closed. So that's really, really nice. And like if you what I've been doing the past like 6 months or so is most days where my tongue is resting fully on the roof of my mouth. My mouth is closed and my lips are closed. So it's kind of like that kind of. And that's just like how I move throughout the day a lot. And I feel like pretty at ease. Like if I'm just like working or like, I try to keep my mouth closed, but not only closed is where I keep my tongue on the roof of my mouth. And I'm telling you, my face changed. Like I have photos of me from like 6 months ago to now. Like I look different. I'd say I look better, way better. Especially with all like the cold exposure, so all that inflammation really went down. And I increased my magnesium and vitamin D, because that, I think he was also mentioning, that really helps. So yeah, it's pretty incredible like how much I've learned. And I feel like we're so blessed as like, the Huberman family. But actually though, that we have so much science and knowledge like that is just given for free, like free access from like they've been doing so many studies from so many labs and everything all around, and we're just able to like have access to it and learn so much, like 3-4 hour podcasts. Like these are incredible. Like these really have changed so much of my life, and I'm so grateful for Huberman and like it's Huberman Lab podcasts and all that. It's just like wow, it's really incredible. But yeah, I'd say really like the main two things that I've got out of, I mean, obviously I've learned so much more, but like, I'd say the main two things that I really like do on a daily like routine is really the cold exposure, like for my face and my hands, and sometimes my feet too. I'll like dip them in, and then suddenly I feel like rushing blood, and like my shoulders start moving better, and like my whole body starts relaxing. My shoulders are going down. Like it's just so much better. I'm telling you, I even open my eyes under the cold water. Like it's so freaking healing. Um, yeah, honestly, wow. And then also the other main thing that I've learned is nasal breathing. So, I've been doing it throughout like my day to day, just things that I do, and it's always been pretty hard for me to do it while I work out because that's when my mouth starts opening because I'm trying to get more air into my lungs, and like it's like that's like the hardest part, I feel like. But the past two jogs of the past 2 days, I was like, my mouth was taped. Like in my mind, I was like, I'm taping my mouth, but it didn't actually. I was on a jog like out on the street. That would be a little weird. Cause like, yeah, that'd be weird. People would look and be like, "Yo, you got tape on your mouth." But not really. Just like for myself, like I wanted to just also have self control and just keep my mouth closed and just nasal breathe. But yeah, it was so hard. So at first, the first like few minutes, like I'd say 5 minutes, of the first day I tried it, even 10 minutes. Whew. I thought I was like hyperventilating. Like I couldn't even like I couldn't. I was that's what I felt like when I was trying to breathe and jog. Just nasal breathe and then keep my mouth closed. I was like hell on earth. Then slowly, because of the podcasts and what he teaches out there, that your body gets used to it, and like you're able to build up a stamina to actually keep your mouth just nasal breathe as you're jogging. Like you can start building it up, and like it's not something that's like, oh, I could do it, I can't. It's like you can actually build yourself up. And like I watched and I saw myself able to build myself up and build up my stamina. Sorry, I'm just like removing these texts. I saw myself being able to like build up my stamina throughout one jog. Just imagine now, I'm like, that was one jog. So my first jog, that was really hard. That was yesterday. Towards the end of the jog, though, I've never had an easier jog because all what I did was I was focusing on my breath. So it was like one inhale, one exhale, one inhale, one exhale, and then I was like 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 4, or like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5, and I was just really just counting, just focusing on my breath, because when my mouth is open the whole time I actually am thinking about my thoughts, and my thoughts are racing. But like this, you have to be much more focused. And focusing is very important for like, first of all, just like, so you can focus, so you don't have your mind wandering and just going to stupid places. At least for me, it's like my negative self inner critic, So it was just incredible to see how just by my mouth being closed and me being able to focus on my nasal breathing, that suddenly I found like this inner sense of peace on my jog. It was like really beautiful. And then 40 minutes in, like I'll usually jog just for like about like an hour straight. And then like 40 minutes in, I saw it. I was like, wow, like it was starting to pay off. Like 40 minutes in, all right? It was hell. It was hard. And then I started really feeling light, and I started like going faster and faster, and it was like to that point where like you don't really feel your body. It's like pretty incredible feeling, and you're just like kind of flying. Well, when you don't feel your body, it's more like my brain kind of was like getting really tired, and then I was just going and going, and it was just like really just like a in the moment, in body experience. And I was really not in my head, so it was like I felt very safe in my body. It's just, it was such a nice feeling, and that was just the first day. So then today I was on my jog and I was like, wow, this is incredible. Like, right off the bat, I was closing my mouth. It wasn't even hard, I'm telling you. Like, 2 minutes maybe was hard. And I started really just focusing on it. Maybe in the middle it got a little hard. When what I started practicing was every time I feel like I want to open my mouth, instead of opening my mouth, I'll swallow my saliva. And I'll like control myself. And that actually really helps me, and it's also helping me in my day-to-day, because when I open my mouth, I'm noticing that I'm trying to like open my mouth and then something is giving me anxiety. A lot of times that's what I found when I open my mouth. So like this, as I'm jogging, I came to the realization from such like a meditative state that by just closing my mouth, like, and just instead of opening my mouth, I can just swallow when I get anxious, you know, like that. And like it really helped me even just after my jog, my day to day. Instead of like being reactive and getting anxious or nervous and opening my mouth, I would just swallow. So yeah, that was just 2 days of me just trying nasal. I've been nasal. I've been closing my mouth and working on my jaw. I kind of been doing it not for my jaw, really more for just like for purposes of having less anxiety and getting more oxygen into my body. So I've been nasal breathing, but it also increased my jaw. But so I've just been doing it day to day. I've never really went up the road of doing it like when I go on jogs, but this is something I'm definitely getting into, and I've been doing it for 2 days now, and I'm kind of hooked, honestly. So yeah, it's pretty incredible. Those are just two major takeaways I've gotten from Huberman's Lab podcast. But I'm telling you, I've gotten so much more. Just, I think subconsciously also, there's so much in me already, like from learning so much from his podcasts. And I'm so grateful, honestly, to him and to his whole team and everybody behind the works over there, the cameramen and the editors and everybody doing the labs and the yeah, just honestly it's incredible. And all the I'm blanking now, but yeah, basically everyone out there doing the labs and doing the like studying for it, and the hours and hours that he's been putting into all his podcasts, like, thank you so much, honestly. Like, if you see this, Dr. Andrew Huberman, wait, is he I don't think he's the doctor, but Andrew Huberman, if you see this, honestly, like, I'm so grateful to you, and I'm sure there's so many more people out there that are so grateful to you, and really, I'm just, like, so grateful to you that I've one day, I think my first podcast I've seen by you was the Tim Ferriss podcast, and it starts off with like the animal starts looking and looking, and he's like, and you would think he's sick or crazy, and if you would just look at ourselves, like we would think we're kind of crazy the way we would be on our phones, but that podcast kind of, I was like, who is this guy? Like, oh my god, like this guy is smart as anything. Really, I was so impressed, and that's like my favorite podcast, and ever since then, that had to be like 6 months ago. Wow, I'm so glued, and I'm so blessed to have all this knowledge in me that I never even thought I would even appreciate science. Honestly, I never even thought about it. So really, I used to just be into like manifesting cool things, but I never really understand science, and I never thought I would even love science and the way the body works and so much more, so much. So really, thank you so much, Andrew Huberman. I really appreciate every single bit of time and effort and work that you put into your videos, if you see this, but if you don't, either way, whoever's watching this, but I definitely recommend giving it a go giving it a go giving it a go with starting to do some cold therapy and some nasal breathing. Those two I would definitely recommend. But yeah, anyways, hope y'all enjoyed my little rant about and my little fangirling about Andrew Huberman. But really, I'm so blessed, and thank you guys so much for watching. All right, see you later.